What we have with this show is seven different stories, all led by seven different actors, and the episodes and the stories do not connect until they do. Hey everybody, what's going on? Today we are going to be talking about, I don't know whether to call it a mini series or if it's a ongoing series, but we're going to be talking about the Amazon Prime series Solos. I will warn you, I'm probably going to have to talk about some spoilers in this. I won't give away the big spoiler, but I do have to talk a little bit about how these stories connect and everything to kind of, tell you about the show. So, what you have here is all these different stories that they, some of them connect in very vague ways, and some of them connect directly. You have, like I said, seven stories. You first have the story of a woman trying to time travel. You have the next story of a guy who, let's just say he's replacing himself as husband and father. You have a story of an old woman traveling through space. You have a story of another woman who, and this kind of plays into 2020 in a bit, or in some ways, even though it's a different year. You have a woman that's been on lockdown for a very long time. Next, you have a woman talking about a day she had. It's hard to really talk about that day without spoiling anything. Then next, you have a pregnant woman whose childbirth does not go as expected. And then you have the last episode, which I can't really talk about because, again, it would give away everything. Okay, with this show, I enjoyed it. I can't say it was a great show because even though I thought the payoff worked, it wasn't like mind blowing. It was, I don't know, it felt a little too neat. And if this is an ongoing series, they're gonna have to think of a different set of stories and how they connect because you couldn't do this again, because people would expect it. The way the stories kind of fit together, it was kind of neat to pick out what some of these stories or how some of these stories fit together. Some of them it was a very vague reference, or some of them it was a certain technology that existed between two of the stories, and technology definitely had a big play in this. In the majority of the stories, technology was a very big thing. And you could even say it was for all of them. The baby episode, I would attribute more to science. But then again, I mean, I guess you could chalk that up to partial technology as well. But it kind of shows humans using technology or technology using humans in different ways. I thought the strongest story in this was the story of Peg. That's the woman in space. And I think I'm biased though because that's Helen Mirren, and I love Helen Mirren. So, and I mean, what you have with all these stories is for the most part, I mean, you're usually only seeing one person, except for one of the stories. Sometimes the characters are talking to technology though, so they do have someone to talk to. They're just not in the room. You have a couple of different actors playing like different AI things in this. So you do have characters able to interact, but most of them are by themselves. So every character, every actor has to carry these scenes. I did notice, and they did a lot of like long takes, and you could tell there was no way they were cutting it. And I actually did hear one character mispronounce a word, and it's like, they were just like, we're not going to make them do it again. But it didn't ruin the scene or anything. It's just because you could chalk it up to a character. The way she was verbalizing things, she was angry, so you get angry, you might mess up some words. So it was, but I did enjoy the long takes. Helen Mirren, though, her performance in this, again, I'm biased, but she's amazing. She interacts with an AI played by Dan Stevens, and Dan Stevens actually pulls double duty in this show. He's in two of the stories, but he plays an AI in her episode, and their rapport together. You have Dan Stevens playing this AI that is pretty close to human the way he talks to people and builds people up and asks questions and things like that. And her character in this story, hers is one that is a direct connection to the story before it. And I like the way they did that because the story before, they were telling certain things, but then you hear what the aftermath is years later with Helen Mirren's character story. Some of the other stories, though, I enjoyed all of them, but man, some of them got pretty weird. It started off a little silly. Anne Hathaway is in the first one, and she's the one trying to create time travel. Her reasons are not silly because it does get serious, but some of the interactions that she has with her technology, we'll just say, are kind of silly at times, even though it takes a big time serious turn. A lot of these do. They start off like they might be silly, and then they just get insane. But what you like, especially the conversations between the woman that has been on lockdown forever. She has conversations with her AI, which is played by Jack Quaid, and it goes all sorts of emotions, from the nicest of nice to the meanest of mean, and it's really interesting as well. There was one story that got really insane though, and that was the pregnancy story. And I can't really tell you about it because it would just it's funny because you don't know how weird it's going to get till it gets there. And then the story of the woman reminiscing on her day or remembering her day, it starts off like it could be fun, and then it gets weird, but still fun, but then it gets dark. All these stories really, in certain ways, get dark. I will say that the overall finale of the story has a satisfying ending, but I don't know. I felt the what was going on as a whole. Again, it worked, but I didn't think it was like amazing. I think the stories as individual stories are probably the more entertaining part of this show. Like I said, there's some good laughs. There's a lot of weird stuff, a lot of serious stuff, so it goes all over the place. Most of them are good. The pregnancy one was weird, so that one was probably, in my opinion, other than the reveal, even though the actor in the reveal is a very good actor that I really like. So, of course, they're carrying it or helping carry it because, again, the finale has two actors in it. But I thought the pregnancy one was probably the weakest one for me. The surprise one would probably be the woman reminiscing on her day. That one really surprised me on how serious it got, but it was actually really good. At first you're just like, where is this going? And then it goes, and then you're just like, oh, that's where it's going. But then again, also, Helen Mirren's episode 3, I thought it was the strongest, especially since it played off of the episode before it. But yeah, Solos, I enjoyed it. I do recommend it. I'm not going to say I highly recommend it. You're going to like a lot of the talent in this. You got Anne Hathaway, you got Helen Mirren, Dan Stevens, Anthony Mackie, Constance Wu, Jack Quaid is an AI, Dan Stevens plays an AI. it's you've got some good talent in this show. But I don't know if this is a one and done thing. If it is, which I think it kind of should be, unless they've got something totally different for Solo's season 2. I haven't been able to find anything as if it's a mini series or an ongoing series. I it's not one I'd say rush to go see. But being that it's on Amazon Prime and they've released all the episodes, as far as I know, they released them all at once because I don't even honestly know when this came out. But I'm not gonna say you must see it, you must see it, you must see it. But especially if you like some of the people in it, it's definitely worth checking out. I think. Again, I was hoping for greater, and you do get some great in this. Again, Helen Mirren's great. Jack Quaid playing AI is great. Dan Stevens, in both the times he's in this, is really good. Anthony Mackie kind of plays double duty, I'll just say that. Constance Wu was probably the big surprise for me. I'm not too familiar with a lot of her work, and again, it was her story that really just brought me in because it was kind of weird at first and you're wondering where it's going, and then they just, kick you in the teeth a little bit. So yeah, it's a show worth checking out, I think. Again, it's not something I'm going to say, you must see this, it's the greatest thing ever, but did I enjoy it? Yeah, I did. Will I watch it again? Probably not. That's going to be all for this one. See you later.